Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to our European Study Talk tonight. European Study Talk is a series of online session and also some on-site session to introduce European university and college and higher education institution to Taiwanese audience. At the very beginning of this series, we have invited the Wallonia Brussels of Belgium. And tonight we are gonna bring you more of the higher education area in Belgium, which is gonna be the Dutch-speaking Flanders. Let's welcome Renilde to introduce the study in Flanders for us.
Thank you. Yes, so my name is Renilde, and I'm going to present to you the higher education system in the Dutch-speaking part in Belgium, which is called Flanders. So here we go. What are we going to talk about? So here is the content of my presentation. We are going to tackle a lot of topics here. First of all, I'm going to explain you a little bit about Belgium, the higher education system then, and of course, the cost of living, visa application, scholarships, and so on, opportunities here. And of course, you can ask questions at the end. So Belgium, as you see here on the map of Europe, you probably recognize here the UK and then the mainland Europe with the white area is Flanders, the northern part of Belgium. Our capital is Brussels, as you know, and the neighboring countries to the north, then we have the Netherlands, then to the east, Germany, and then the south is Luxembourg and France. If you see here on this slide, we are one of the founding members of the EU, and the total population of Belgium is around 11.5 million, and we have 3 official languages, Dutch, French, and German. If we look at Flanders, then it's the northern part of Belgium. So Belgium is a federal state, and Flanders is a federated entity of that federal state. The population of Flanders is 6.5 million, so a bit more than half of the total population. And in the Flemish region, there's only 1 official language, which is Dutch. If we look at Brussels, then Brussels is bilingual, so French and Dutch are both official languages. The total population is 1.2 million, so it's actually a small capital. Very easy to navigate, but yet a real capital with a lot of international organizations such as the EU headquarters, like the European Commission, NATO headquarters. This brings, of course, a lot of embassies, press agencies, NGOs, international organizations in Brussels. So you have a population with, let's say, super diverse, 180 nationalities, and over 100 languages spoken. So you will always find a person who speaks your language or someone with the same habits or the same food preferences as yourself. We are at the heart of Europe, of course, very easy to travel to Amsterdam in the Netherlands, Paris, Cologne in Germany, London. We have fast trains to all these destinations. Even to London, we have a train, so you can reach London in less than 2 hours. Now, why would you have to come and study in Flanders and Brussels? We have come up with 6 reasons to study in Flanders and Brussels, talking to students, international students who are already here. This is a kind of summary of what they tell us, why they have chosen for Flanders and Brussels. First of all, of course, the level of higher education, which is excellent. You do find highly ranked universities and you get really a good education. Number 2, not unimportant, this excellent level is not super expensive. Why is this? All the higher education institutions we represent are funded by the government. And of course, non-EU students pay more tuition, but still they don't pay the full cost an education would cost. So there is still a part of the public funding that is actually beneficial also for non-EU students. Third reason is the open and multilingual society, as already mentioned, many languages spoken, and the society is really open. You have all kinds of ideas and people around. Then the next reason is that we are an economically strong region. We have some very strong sectors. For example, logistics. This picture is a picture of the port of Antwerp, which is one of the biggest ports in Europe. And it brings about, of course, a whole industry cluster around. Here you see in the port is very strongly connected to chemical industry. We also have blue economy on the North Sea. We are strong in pharmaceutical industry. So we have many strong sectors. Then, of course, we are at the heart of Europe. This is a picture of the European Commission, which is placed in Brussels. This doesn't only mean that we have a lot of international organizations here, but also the rest of Europe comes to meet these organizations or their work field in Brussels every other so often. And this means that you can actually meet more Europeans in Brussels than anywhere else. And then the high quality of life, of course. This is not only cultural life, gastronomic life, social life, but also universal healthcare, which is very accessible. So it is actually, I think, a good life you can lead here. This picture is the city of Ghent. This is, of course, a festival when we still had many people close to each other. Nowadays, we use COVID safe tickets. So, and we keep a bit more distance, but we still have some events going on. Then higher education. We have two types of higher education institutions. We have research intensive universities and what we call universities of applied sciences and arts. So the schools of arts in the Flemish higher education system are included in these universities of applied sciences and arts. So what you can study at a university is what you can see here at the top horizontal line. So it starts with an academic bachelor, master, and then you're ready for the job, or you choose to do an advanced master, or you want to do a PhD, but you don't need the advanced master to go on to a PhD if you like. On the bottom horizontal line is what you can study at a University of Applied Sciences, starting with an associate degree if you like. It's a program of, let's say, 2 years, but these are mainly taught in Dutch. So probably for you, the English taught programs are more interesting. And then we have quite a few of them at the level of professional bachelor. So you see both are bachelor degrees, academic bachelor and professional bachelor. But the difference is that a professional bachelor is more practice-based, has more links to the work field, has speakers from the work field coming to teach some classes, have compulsory internships. So they really train the student to be ready for the job market after the bachelor studies. If you would want to continue your studies, you can, of course, still continue to a master. But in that case, if you chose a professional bachelor, you would have to continue with a bridge program to end up in a master. And the content of this bridge program is determined, of course, by the master you are preparing. We also have advanced bachelors, and those are mainly one-year programs, which gives you then an additional bachelor degree. In number of study credits, I think you are familiar with the European type of study credits. The abbreviation we use is ECTS. So associate degrees are sometimes 90, but mainly 120 credits. So we use standard curriculum is 60 credits in one study year. So for bachelor programs, both cases, professional and academic bachelor programs are 180 credits, with exception for nursing, and master degrees can be 60 or 120 credits, again, with exception for medical studies. Bridge programs, of course, depend on the master you are preparing. So the number of credits is not set. It can be 60, 45, 90, it depends. Then the names of our universities. These are the 5 universities we have in the Flemish higher education system. Ghent University, Hasselt University, KU Leuven, University of Antwerp, and VUB or Vrije Universiteit Brussel. Then we have 13 universities of applied sciences and arts. You find all their names here, and also on our website you find the links to these institutions at various pages. So our website studyinflanders.be is a very good starting point for you to find further information. Now, about study programs, as I already said, we have more and more study programs taught in English, while of course the main language is Dutch in the Flemish higher education system. But you find quite a lot of bachelor degrees taught in English, many master degrees really in every field of study, and then of course also advanced masters and so on. Postgraduate degrees in the Flemish higher education system are not what you call postgraduate as a master study, but a postgraduate is giving actually a certificate and not always a real degree, because sometimes the postgraduate can be only 20 credits, for example. So it's not necessarily a full year program. You can find all these study programs on our website, studyinflanders.be. Go to the section programs, and there you will have a very easy to use search engine. You can type your level of study, master degree, or you can type business studies, or you can type one institution maybe if you have already an idea about the institution where you want to study, and then you find all the programs. From there you can straight click on these names of the program and end up at the page of this program at the hosting institution. If you want to know more about life of international students in Flemish higher education, it's maybe interesting to follow us on Instagram or Facebook. We have international students who take over our account every week, and then they show their life as they study here and how they live here. So that could also be a very interesting source of information for you. Then tuition fees, as I already said, it's not super expensive to study in Flemish higher education. But the one thing you have to know is that tuition fees are determined by each program and by each university. So EU students and Belgians pay 960 euros a year, this academic year. So if any of you would have an EU passport, this also applies to you. But for non-EU students, we have fees starting at 960. So a few have the same rate also for non-EU students. Up to 6,000 euros, I would say, is the average. A few, very few really are more expensive. But the thing is, you really have to check the price of each program. It can be that within one university, 3 different programs that could interest you have 3 different prices. The admission criteria are very straightforward. Of course, you need a proof of English proficiency. You need your previous degree, which gives access to this level of education. You need a high school degree for a bachelor, and you need a bachelor degree for a master. And also we have in our culture, we really stick to the same study field. So within, if you studied a Bachelor of Business, this will probably give you access to the Master of Business, if it's the right type of bachelor degree. But we hardly change, let's say, from a bachelor in political science to a bachelor in psychology. That's very unlikely in Belgium, and then you would have to take a bigger bridge program or preparatory program to change to another master field. So we have sometimes also program-specific admission criteria. For example, you are in high school right now and you want to study engineering, then of course you have to be strong in math and sciences, and then we might ask for a JMAT test or SAT scores to be able to compare your level of math and sciences to what is required. This is not for all programs, but for some programs this is the case. Then a few programs have entry examinations, but these are mainly taught in Dutch. Only fine arts and music are in English. And there, of course, you have a kind of entry exam or a portfolio to present in the arts to be admitted. The deadlines also differ from one institution to another. The deadlines, the admissions are open now. They usually open in end of October, beginning of November. And the mid-February, 1st of March are the first deadlines. Some are a bit later. And again, if you have an EU passport, you don't need to process a study visa. Then also you have more time, then the deadline would be only 1st of June. This you can check also again via our website, and then you can be linked through to the hosting institution. Then the cost of living. To be on the safe side, I must say, I usually say 850 to 950 euros a month. This includes housing, courses and books, food, transportation, entertainment, and so on. Some students tell me that they can live with 700, 750 if they were lucky to find maybe just a bit cheaper housing, or if they really cook themselves all the time, they don't spend much on cinema and movies and other things of entertainment. This of course depends. If you go on a weekend to Paris and London and Amsterdam every week, then you would need some more money, of course. Then a student visa is of course needed to be a full-time student in Belgium. It's called visa type D. And to get the visa, you need, of course, your admission letter, but also you have to prove your solvency. You have to prove that you can financially subsist yourself during this year of study. There is a set amount decided by the government every year to see how much money you need. And currently, this is 679 euros a month, so times 12. This is the sum of money you need to provide. And you can put this on a blocked account with the universities. They can help you with this. Or there are a few other ways. These you can find on the website of the Immigration Office. Also, our website has more information about that. But the one important thing is this amount will probably go up a little bit every year, depending on the general cost of living. So we expect this to be done in March. So it's good for you to check again in March. Then it may be 690 euros, maybe a month that is required. The difference will be small, but it's important to follow this. The Belgian embassies and consulates where you can apply for your visa will you can also find here on this website. And then you would probably have to make an appointment to start your application. So it's important to count enough time to get this all done. Then scholarships. Yes, of course, we do have scholarships. You have heard, I think, already about Erasmus Plus scholarships for joint master programs. But we also have scholarships from our own governments. So the Mastermind Scholarship Program, for example, is funded by the Flemish government, and it's open for students from all over the world and all study fields. So there's no limitation to nationality, to study fields. It can go for engineering as well as arts, as well as social sciences and anything in between. Only for master level, not for bachelor level, this I have to say. And the very important thing here is that universities have to pre-select the candidates they want to put forward to this program, because every higher education institution can only send in 20 applications to the Mastermind Scholarship Program. So you have to be pre-selected to be one of those 20 if you want to take part in this program. If you win the scholarship, you get a scholarship of around 8,200 this year and probably 8,500 euros next year, a year. And on top of that, you get a tuition fee waiver. So you would pay only some kind of administrative fee of around 100 euros, but no tuition, no 3,000 or 6,000 euros tuition on top, you don't pay anymore. So that's very good news. So what we usually say, if you get the Mastermind Scholarship, you would have to have money to pay your flight and probably your first month, because when you arrive, you need to find housing, then you go to register your address, and with this address you can open a bank account, and once you have a European bank account, we will send the first installment of the scholarship on your bank account. So the first weeks you would have to have some of your own money to provide. Then there's another scholarship program, the International Course Programs for Students, from a number of countries. So, okay, I'm sorry, Indonesia is part of this, yes, but not Taiwan. But this is probably not interesting if you have, if you don't live in one of these countries which are eligible. Then the scholarships from the host institutions, they are very limited, but they exist. This means that some study fields in one or another university, for example, give a tuition fee waiver, or they have a specific scholarship fund where you can apply within the Flemish higher education institution. This is, of course, very specific, and you would have unlimited also, but you would have to check with your university and the program of your interest. Then working during the studies and after your studies. This is a question we often get from international students. First of all, during the studies, legally, yes, you can work 20 hours a week. Do we recommend this? No. We think 20 hours a week is far too much to be successful in your studies. So if you want to work during your studies, we would say, let's say 4 hours a week, or one night a week, or the Saturday afternoon you can work. But you need enough time to do your readings, to spend on your studies. So be careful with that, because of course you want to be successful. Another point is that international students often tell us that they don't find steady jobs for the whole year so easily. They find occasional jobs, but for many jobs in shops, for example, still a local language may be required. So it's also not something you can really count on as a source of income. Of course, to top up your budget, this will be possible. Then after your studies, we have something called the orientation year, which is a full year of 12 months. You can prolong your stay after you graduate from a Belgian university. So you can then use this time to find a job or start even your own business, as long as you can prove also your solvency during this year. So you would have to apply before you graduate, and no, not before you graduate, but before you your study visit visa expires. So you need your degree, you have to graduate, but then immediately you would have to apply for this orientation year. Then an update on COVID-19. So all the Belgians were vaccinated, 18 plus, but also the 12 to 18 have been vaccinated in the meantime. Over the summer were the last ones, I would say. Now we are doing the booster shots. Many people, over 1 million, have already had the booster shot, but currently we are still doing the third vaccination for the population. And we arranged that incoming international students can also be vaccinated for free in Belgium. So this we have negotiated from the start in the spring of 2021, and it's still there. So if you would have a vaccination, which is maybe a good vaccination, but not yet recognized in the EU, you could still get another one or find out how you deal with this. Why am I saying this? Because a lot of functions operate with the COVID safe pass, as we call it, or a COVID safe ticket. So this means bars and restaurants, you can only enter if you have the COVID safe ticket. This is through an app on your phone. So to get this COVID safe ticket in the app, it has to be one of the EU recognized vaccines. Students went back to class on campus in the beginning of this academic year. Now, I must say, currently it's winter here, and as we assumed that it will coincide with the flu. So we have some more cases now. And for these last weeks before Christmas, most institutions will do more lessons online again. Then we have exams in January, which is the exams after the first semester, to make sure these exams can take place in person. We are trying to be careful now, but libraries always stay open for students to come together and study together. And then we are quite confident that the second semester, again, students will have classes on campus. Lab exercises and everything stays on campus. So there we don't go virtual because it's very hard to organize, of course. If you want more data on the pandemic here, Cienzano is our federal health institute and has very good data for you to have more information. So here I am ready for your questions. I hope you understood most of what I said, but of course, if you have specific questions, I'm here to answer.
All right. Thank you, Renilde, for bringing us a general overview of Flanders and what it is like maybe to study in Belgium. Since Flanders is a Dutch-speaking area region in Belgium, if the student would like to stay in either Flanders or in general in Belgium, is it possible if they don't speak any second foreign language? I mean, something except for English. Is it hard for them to find a job or find any advanced opportunity afterwards?
It's certainly possible. I have met many international students who work. I'm thinking about a girl who works as an accountant in an international company in Brussels. And she didn't know Dutch. She decided to stay in Belgium after her studies, and now she is learning Dutch, of course. But no, it is possible to get by with English, also to do your shopping, to order in a restaurant. You will be able to easily get everything done you need in English. Only official documents, of course, don't exist in English there. You would need maybe some your visa, yes, but then any other information from the city hall or so will probably not be in English there. You might need some help of the international office of the school maybe, but otherwise life in English is very, very possible.
All right. Since you mentioned the vaccine policy, what about is there any quarantine rules or which is required by the government when the student enter Belgium?
Yes, this I must say, I think we have all gotten used to this now that the rules change every now and then. So sometimes it depends if coming from which country through which flight, even quarantine is requested. Sometimes just a negative test is requested. This all depends. Currently, quarantine is, I think, 10 days. But it has been 14 days last year. So by the time you would be here again, I'm sure the rules have slightly changed a little bit. But there's no such thing as a hotel next to the airport where people have to stay. That we don't have.
All right. Cool. So it's still subject to, say, the situation or the time when they try to arrive or enter Belgium.
The country where you come from and the situation in the sending country, the vaccine you have, whether or not, I think very often a PCR test upon arrival will be requested. But if you come from within another EU country, of course, this is not the case right now. And then again, we have to see in a year from now is a very long time in pandemic terms. So maybe it's all much better, or maybe just at that time we are facing a new variety of the virus, and then we have very short-term measures which can apply for 1 or 2 months and then change again.
All right. Another question is about the student visa. So they should be concerned, like under such situation when we have probably another COVID breakout again in Europe. Would it be harder to have their visa approved as a student?
I don't think so. From the very beginning of the pandemic, we lobbied with all political levels, at a European level also, by the way, to have student mobility, especially for degree-seeking students, recognized as an essential mobility, and that they would have to be able to come and study in Europe because they are staying long-term, and they are willing to follow the rules which, you know, apply. So for a short term, there has been a suspension of visa applications, but it opened in summer 2020. And even those students who had to start, our academic year, by the way, starts at the end of September. Right. So summer is a very important time to process the visa, and those students have been able to process their visa, and all the students who have, for example, a scholarship with us, they have been able to make it and to physically arrive in Belgium on time.
All right. You just mentioned the mastermind scholarship. Usually, how many percentage of the applicant might really get the scholarship at the end?
Oh, it's a small program, so it's about maybe 30. But as I said, the universities also already have to pre-select, and they can send in maximum 20. So from this small group that is actually sent in, the success rate is still 1 out of 3, 1 out of 4, I would say, to win the scholarship. It is highly competitive, this I will say.
Yeah. So in that case, would you, or do you have any advice for people who like to apply for scholarship? What would be the focus when their application is evaluating?
Yes, so this I can explain you very, very well. We look at the transcripts of records of the student. Right. We look at the motivation letter of the student, and for the motivation, we really expect an academic motivation. So it's very important to really explain why you are choosing that particular study program and that particular university, because if it's too general, we feel like this could have been a motivation letter you used to apply in 3 different countries, and then it's not specific enough. This is very often what we see. So this is an advice to really research very well the research areas of your main professors, or the specificities of this program, the way they teach, what you want to do with it in your career later on, and to write all this in your motivation letter. Then we also ask 2 recommendation letters. And there, again, it's very important that they are not super general, like anybody could have written it, but someone who really knows you, who is very specific why they recommend you. Then we also let the university, the hosting university, write about why they pre-selected you. So a part of the score is, a small part of the score is for this section. And then there is 10% of the score, which is a general top talent profile score. So the jury there looks at everything together. Also, you will be asked to add a CV. We don't give grades on your CV, of course, but we use it to have a general picture of you as a candidate. And there we will look at if do you stand out in some way or another? Have you won a prize, or have you done a publication of your previous degree or research project where you took part in? Or is there anything specific? Do you have work experience maybe already? In Belgium, it's very usual to study a bachelor degree and immediately after that a master degree, but in many countries it's not. So maybe you have already worked, and then it's also interesting to see if this fits into your career plan with the master degree you are applying for. And all these scores together give a score on 100 points, and then we rank the candidates. And of course, then we give the scholarships until we run out of money, and then the highest ranked candidates win, of course, the scholarship. We do also have a waiting list. So if you are on the waiting list, it is possible that if someone still maybe had two choices to choose from and doesn't take our scholarship, that is a spot free, and we go to the waiting list. So this is also possible that we still contact you in summer or maybe end of August even to offer the scholarship if you were on the waiting list.
Is there any like interview afterwards, or is it simply paperwork for evaluation?
The central selection is only paperwork, but it could be that the pre-selection within the university involves like a Skype interview or a Teams interview or a Zoom interview. But this really depends on each university and each study program, even how they want to pre-select their candidates.
And I believe those information could be found when they are applying online on like either websites on.
If you go on our website, studyinflanders.be, you will find the section scholarships. Scroll down to Mastermind Scholarship, and there you will find all the steps, and also the preliminary conditions. Of course, we need a certain level of English. We need a minimal level GPA to be eligible to apply. Of course, this will also be on the website.
Yeah, would you also probably explain this? Like, what will be the minimum language level and what will be minimum GPA?
It will be 3.5 out of 4 GPA, and TOEFL level 94 is the minimal score of English we require.
All right. Right now, I think that's so far all the questions we have for the session here. But that's fine. Since you have the Studying Flanders website here, there are a lot of information which we have talked about this tonight. They can find the information on the website as well. So thank you, Renilde, for bringing us the outlook of what it is look like to studying Flanders. And the very last thing, or some farewell words to our audience from Renilde.
Yes, I want to wish you all the best. Think well about your choice of study. It's very important to choose something you really want to study. And I'm sure we have a lot of interesting programs on offer. And if your choice would lead to Flanders and Brussels, I really hope to see you here. Welcome.
All right. Thank you, Renilde, for bringing us all the information here. And we hope we have the chance to meet Taiwanese student either in Taipei or somewhere in Belgium, in Flanders as well in the future. Thank you for coming.
Bye-bye.
See you. Have a good day.